Even after a few fixes, there are still some leaks in the Calgary Flames boat.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jess Belmosto, and thank you so much for joining me today. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's all you have to do. Visit fanduel.com to get started. Today, we're going to talk about the game against the Habs, as well as some streakiness going on. And we're going to dive right in to Martin Pospisil being Martin Pospisil. Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. Your Calgary Flames every day. And my goodness, Martin Pospisil has made Ryan Huska upset. I have never seen Ryan Huska have to bite his tongue the way that he did in his post-game press conference against the Edmonton Oilers on Sunday. Obviously, Martin Pospisil had that late penalty there that ultimately led to the go-ahead goal for the Oilers, and I am not surprised that Huska's tired of it. I think that we're all fully aware of what type of game Martin Pospisil plays and what he brings to the table. And he is a much better player than what he has demonstrated so far this season. And I really do see a lot of Brad Marchand in him. Mainly because there is that top tier, pretty high talent caliber player in there, as well as someone that's just going to take out all of their frustrations on the ice. And it takes a special player to, you know, you can't always coach it out of them, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. But hopefully Pospisil starts taking a hint because it's getting exhausting. This is now the second game that he has taken a late penalty that sends, ultimately costs the Flames a game. And that's not fair. It's not fair that his mistake and lack of emotional control basically throws his teammates' hard work down the trash. It's not fair. And I think, you know, I wouldn't be surprised that if, something like this happens again, I would not be shocked if you see Martin Pospisil healthy scratched. There is a balance between playing with an edge and being reckless. And I think that we have seen both sides of Pospisil, and I'm not necessarily impressed with what we've seen so far this season. I know it's still early, but he had a much better uh season last year. And I talked about it a lot all off season. I thought that he was going to see some regression, and we're seeing that. And I would love to see him put in half the energy into offensive efforts the way that he does with his penalties, because you're taking so many penalties and you're making it look so effortless. Can we see that channeled into something productive like a goal or an assist or generating some high danger chances, like quite literally anything? And I think a lot of people would probably um get off his back a little bit. And I'm sure that he's frustrated too, but he has made it so clear that he does not care what anyone has to say, like any outside noise. And he knows who he is as a player, and other people's perception of him as well as his reputation. Like, that's kind of like everyone else's problem but his. Having that attitude and swagger is fine when you can back it up. And we're not seeing that. And that's frustrating to me. And I want nothing more than for Martin Pospisil to succeed. And if he continues down this path of like individuality, or not individuality, I guess, but not that team effort, that consideration and thoughtfulness, it's gonna leave a really bad taste in people's mouths. And it's teetering on the where Kachuk was towards, I believe it was the bubble season. Yes, it was the bubble season when he flipped that puck at Justin, was it Justin Hall? No, Jake Muzzin. And that kind of put Gio on edge and said, you're on notice. You need to cut the crap. So I wouldn't be surprised that if at some point something like that happens here. Martin Pospisil is a good player. He should start playing like one because we know he didn't just dress up for one as Halloween last year. And it's disappointing because we saw how good he was last year. And Huska tried him at center, and now he's back on the wing. I like him on the wing more. I don't like him at center. Or I thought that he would be more productive on the wing than he was at center. I was wrong. But there's still plenty of time in the season to go. But right now, having Kadri, Pospisil, and Zary on the same line, like, that's Old Faithful. Let's get Old Faithful back up and running, and then we can start integrating playing with a severe edge, because it's not working right now, and we need to take a step back and evaluate what needs to change. And it's not Zary, and it's not Kadri. It is Pospisil. He needs to take a long look in the mirror. Hopefully one of the veterans can just kind of sit him down and knock some sense into him. But coming up next, we're going to talk about the streakiness that is happening with the Flames offense, because why would anything go smoothly for our Calgary Flames? We're driven by the search for better, but when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your job more visibility at Indeed.com/lockedon. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. Maybe tonight you are placing a bet on a Cole Caulfield anytime goal, because that seems to be just an easy pick, an easy win, and you can win $150 in bonus bets on your first $5 bet if Cole Caulfield is that anytime scorer. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your Calgary Flames every day. And unlike the consistency here at Locked On Flames, the Flames offense likes to go streaky. This is something that you kind of know is going to be an issue when you don't have a true finisher on your team. I think that Anthony Mantha has a good net front presence. I think that Connor Zary is also a pretty solid net front presence as well, but you kind of need a little bit more than just them. And I think two players that are under the microscope pretty severe right now would be Yegor Sharangovich and Andrei Kuzmenko. Obviously, Kuzmenko did have a pretty solid game against the Oilers on Sunday, which was great. It looked like his best hockey of the season. I don't understand what goes on with him. I feel like this is something that is he's consistently inconsistent. And that's just kind of what it's looked like over the last few years of his career. And unfortunately, that doesn't really work in certain situations. I thought that he would be lighting it up on the power play again. We're not really seeing that. It's something that, obviously everyone has a monkey on their back at some point in the season, but I feel like Kuzmenko, he needs to do something more. He has to find it within him to start scoring. He needs to I feel like we just talked about this last week, and he only has 1 goal on the season and 5 assists so far. I'm sorry, but that's not good enough through 12 games. I think that what's kind of unfair is that it's I don't think unfair is the right word, but there are definitely players down with the Wranglers that could 100% take advantage of his roster spot. Obviously, you aren't placing Kuzmenko on waivers. That's just not happening. I think they're just like something just has to change here. And I think a lot of it is just maybe the chemistry or lack thereof with the line mates. And, maybe this is just Kuzmenko. Maybe this is why his ice time in Vancouver was limited. We may never know. But I think that we we kind of have to just accept this for now. I was hoping that he'd, get himself going on the power play. He is moving his feet more, so I will give him that, but like he just doesn't look like the Kuzmenko we watched last year. And Yegor Sharangovich, this is something that I think was going to be a focal point regardless this season, and especially, the team's leading scorer last year, and then he signs that 5-year extension over the summer, gets hurt to start the season, and now has 1 point in 5 games. 1 singular goal. I knew that it was going to take a little bit of time to kind of, shake that dust off, get the rust off, find his groove again, but I'm a little bit concerned. I'm concerned with the immediate, jumping to conclusions that, maybe he is still a little injured and isn't ready to be back, or, maybe he just last year was a fluke. But we've only seen him play 5 games, so it's not necessarily fair to like write this off. That would be doing him a big injustice, but, he's averaging 18 minutes a night. Pretty good. That's around where he was last season. I think that, him and Huberdeau had some decent chemistry last year, and I do wanna see them on a line together, and I know that Huska has mentioned, Sharangovich potentially doing some centering, so maybe we do see that down the road a little bit more too. I I think the biggest thing here is we're going to see streaky offense throughout the season the same way. I mean, I wouldn't even call the defense streaky. I think the defense is just pretty stinky, on most nights, but I I do have concerns because, if you're not getting production out of your top guys, then and you're looking at secondary scoring and, secondary scoring is nowhere to be seen or found or anything, you're not winning games. And I mean, personally, I think the Flames don't need to win a lot of games this year. I would love for them to have a high draft pick because that is what they need. Um, so I mean, hey, if they I do I want to see them score goals. Obviously, I want this to be a good season, but I also understand that, like, realistically, the Flames need to just kind of bottom out, and that's okay. But we know that this team is never just gonna phone it in and call it a day. That is fairly obvious. Um, I don't even think it's just Sharangovich and Kuzmenko either. Zari's been pretty, snake bitten too. I think that, oh my goodness, Kadri, Anthony Mantha for a little bit there. I need to see Kevin Rooney score. That fourth line had something really good going on Sunday against the Oilers, and I think that we're gonna be seeing, more of Kevin Rooney, which is great, especially on the penalty kill because, my god, if I have to watch another Flames penalty kill, give up a goal, I might just turn the television off and never turn it back on again. But coming up next, we are gonna wrap up the show with some, uh, pointers, players to watch ahead of tomorrow night's game against the Montreal Canadiens, and we will be right back after this. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in award winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. Just pick more or less than at least two players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money on sports action, and you have the option of flex play, which Prize Picks actually invented, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect, and you can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Prize Picks now offers Venmo for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals into your account this sports season. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks discount select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value in their lineup. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first dollar lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. You can follow me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto. this game is battle of the mid. I think, right now the Habs are 4-7-1, sitting at the bottom of the Atlantic, and that's kind of where everyone maybe but themselves saw them uh, this season. I think what's really like obviously hurt them is them not having like real goaltending anymore. They've been rebuilding for a little bit and trying to work the right pieces in here. Cole Caulfield um he's always intrigued me as an American born player. He's always just kind of been someone that's like obviously on my radar and going as high as he did in the draft. Um and he obviously switched his number to 13 this year. Shortly after Johnny passed away in tribute of Johnny, and he is one of the 3 players leading the NHL in scoring. Do you know what they all have in common? They all wear the number 13. And tomorrow or tonight rather, that it's game 13 of the season, which I find, you know, we do love signs, and I hope that it's a good game. I will be in attendance. So I am begging the Flames to at least show up and try. Um, but I think one of the biggest things that's kind of hindered the Habs has obviously, Patrick Liney's injury. They were expecting him to come in and I don't think be the 50 goal scorer that he was a few years ago, however many years ago at this point, but they were hoping that this fresh start would do him some good, and it was over or paused and delayed before it even started, and it's brutal. It's obviously the injury could have been a lot worse than it was. I think there were a handful of preseason injuries that just were unnecessary and, avoidable. And I I hope that Line A does find his game again. I think that, the Habs have kind of suffered long enough. It's time to maybe let them have crawl out of the basement a little bit. But I guess I would be watching their younger players, which is most of their roster. But I think, you know, you can see what they've done right and what they've done wrong and what picking high in the draft does for an organization and how it gives you an opportunity to really elevate your talent and, maybe find a generational centerman because you need one desperately. Could that be the Flames? The Flames couldn't possibly need a young centerman. Never. Would never be a topic of conversation. I think it's fun going up against a team deep in their rebuild because you can kind of laugh at them. That's kind of mean. Or you can be like, hey, like, they're making progress. It depends on how you're looking at it. If you're watching as a fan, you want to steamroll every team, but especially a team that thinks they've made progress in their rebuild. But also you can watch with the more analytical eye in terms of how is their rebuild going? What does their goaltending look like? What is their forward situation? How are they doing on defense? Enjoy yourself regardless. That's without a doubt. My player to watch, Martin Pospisil. He has no points in his last 5 games. And we talked about him at the start of the show. He has to be smarter. I think if Ryan Huska has to watch a late penalty from Martin Pospisil again, he's going to have to walk to the next game, regardless of where this game happens, if and when that happens again. And then he will be scratched the next night. I don't necessarily think scratching him now does anything. Personally, I think like 3 strikes, you're out, and he's on 2. But at some point, he has to wake up and start playing hockey again and not whatever's going on out there on the ice. I want to see him work smarter and harder and find the back of the net. We know he can score. We know that him, Kadri, and Zary had incredible chemistry last year. So let's find it again. Where did it go? I'm hopeful that, he'll find his groove again, and it's just a matter of taking your lumps and a little bit of a sophomore slump, because we all know that that is bound to happen. So I guess, yeah, my player to watch would be Martin Pospisil and Cole Caulfield. I think that both of them are important to their teams for different reasons, and they'll catch your eyes for very different reasons. But that will do it for me today on Locked On Flames. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope you have a fantastic Tuesday, and go Flames go tonight. I'll be in Montreal, first time at the Bell Center, so I'm excited. 13th game of the season. This is my third Flames game in a month. I'm so excited, and I just hope Dustin Wolf puts on a show for me, because go Dustin Wolf, go. But make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We are here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your Calgary Flames every day, whether you like it or not. And I will see you all on Wednesday. And I do have a special guest joining me later this week to talk all about stats and numbers with someone special from Flames Nation. Bye-bye.